Happy Friday, guys. It's Fitness Friday Live, brought to you from my lounge at Giraffe Towers, as I like to call it. And it's so exciting to have you here and join us live every single Friday. So Fitness Friday is about you. It's about your fitness journey, your struggles, your challenges, and your achievements. And I started this Fitness Friday Live after getting a number of fitness-related queries that I couldn't always answer. And I thought, why not have a guest live virtually join me and be virtually on my couch and answer those fitness-related questions that you struggle with. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to say, hi, Liezel, let me know where you're watching from. And then if you have a fitness question that you'd like our fitness guest to answer, please post it in the comment section. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, feel free to post the question in the comment section down below. And if you're a bit nervous or shy about asking a fitness-related question and you don't want your name mentioned, it's as simple as sending me a direct message, and then I won't mention your name and I'll ask the question as an anonymous to our fitness guest that joins us live every Friday. So I'm Liezel and I'm just a fitness enthusiast. So every Friday, it's all about you, your fitness journey, and our fitness guests answering those questions. So pop in the comment section down below. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you're struggling with the fitness journey, or perhaps you've achieved something really great, whether it's completing your first 5K run, whether it's just trying your first virtual park run or your first virtual event. This is what Fitness Friday Live is all about. And I get your suggestions on the guests that I should interview every week. So if you have a guest that you'd like me to interview, perhaps there's someone in your community doing great things, uplifting the community in the fitness world, please feel free to email me, creative@thegiraffebrand.com. I'll post my contact details in the comment section below because I want to hear from you. We're on this Fitness Friday Live to be about your fitness journey and celebrating South Africans doing great things in the fitness industry. So keep those comments coming. I've got two dogs named Luke and Leia. You'll probably see them jump into shot now and then. And a lot of people always ask where they are when we do these lives. And you'll see the minute I invite our guest live, the dogs will start jumping into shot. So you know what it's like working virtually from home. Everyone had that struggle during lockdown, if it's not cats, dogs, or parrots jumping into shot. So you'll still see them going live. And I know a lot of people are struggling with load shedding. So we are making this video available on YouTube and Facebook. So don't worry if you've missed out. You can play catch up a little later on. So it's time to introduce my guest. My guest is one of the most versatile multi-sport athletes. I've been following her journey for a number of years. When I started my first triathlon, finished last, right at the back, I remember seeing her at events, seeing her on the podium, and just one incredible woman who is always uplifting other women in the sporting field, always doing her best to promote the sport of triathlon. She's a businesswoman. She's studied law. She is an ambassador for Puma, Specialized Bicycles, Speedo, Oakley, as well as Ilana Mayer's Endurance Academy. She is an internationally certified triathlon coach, and she runs her own triathlon business in Stellenbosch in South Africa. So she knows about the struggles of starting out in sport, as well as the struggles of starting your own business. Please help me welcome our guest for today on Fitness Friday Live, Vicky Fanimarva. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Liezel. Thank you so much.
So this is what happens on a Fitness Friday. People get to ask their questions of you. They'll post it in the comment section below, and then I ask the hard questions. And we start with something we call a quick fire Q&A. So you have to answer as quickly as possible.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dark chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Favorite fitness activity in South Africa?
Running.
Best cheat meal?
Carrot cake.
Oh, that's a nice cheat meal. Best healthy meal?
Sure. I guess wraps after training.
Best fitness event in South Africa that you've participated in?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. But yeah, you mentioned it earlier. I love Xterra, the versatility of it. So yeah.
I'm going to get you to explain what Xterra is for our newbies that don't know what Xterra is. Explain quickly in one sentence. What is an Xterra triathlon?
Xterra is an off-road triathlon. In other words, in the mountain, you swim in a dam. After that, you get onto your mountain bike, explore the trails, and then you do a trail run.
So Xterra is basically an off-road triathlon. And
Yes.
who should we be looking out for, an upcoming fitness influencer or upcoming fitness triathlete we should be following?
There's a lot of talent in South Africa. There's a girl in our squad, part of STS, called Georgie Grobler, and she's proper talented and hardworking. So I'm very excited about her future.
So let's give her a follow. What I'll do is I'll post Georgie's Instagram and social media handles in our comment section. So if anyone wants to follow her, they can definitely find out more. We're really getting questions coming through from people, so please feel free to post your questions in our comment section. So Vicky, you have started your own business, if I'm not mistaken, about 18 months ago, the Stellenbosch Triathlon Squad. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit longer than that. But yes, basically in short, I've done sport my whole life. I've always loved it. I did a lot of sport at school. And then was lucky enough to get an opportunity to go to Australia and compete, represent South Africa, overseas. So I was based in Australia for a couple of years, and it was an amazing couple of years. And while doing that, I studied law. Anyway, long story short, when I came back, people kept asking me all these questions about triathlon specifically, and I thought, I'm not quite ready to enter the legal world yet. Let me just start something on the side just to literally help people and help them with a bit of coaching. And and basically, so it was never my plan. I studied law. I didn't want to study law just for fun. I really enjoyed it. But so it really started very organically and grew organically. And I'm very passionate about it. And now we're a community of about 300 people here in Stellenbosch.
And is the club open to anyone? So I'm a back runner and I'm never going to be the number one triathlete. I know I'm at the back and I enjoy being at the back of the pack. Is it for people like me who are just enthusiasts and enjoy being part of the squad?
Yes, absolutely. So I'll be honest, when I started out, people that contacted me were because they knew me.
It seems like we've just lost Vicky due to signal. I know. There we go, Vicky, you're back.
Okay,
there
great.
We go.
So I said, it definitely is for everyone. When I started out, when I started the business, the people that contacted me were the more serious athletes. So they were your Ironman athletes or people who needed that guidance to get onto a podium at triathlons or whatever it might be. But now it's grown so nicely and developed into a community. Literally, there's a space for everyone. We've got a kids group, we've got a beginner group, we've got a masters group. So it's our youngest is 5 and our oldest is 64.
That's incredible. So I've been in the triathlon community for about 10 years now. I've actually not heard of a club that has a kiddies section. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's something that I started out. So in South Africa, unfortunately, there aren't many events for the little ones. So it's hard to then keep them motivated to train for triathlon if they aren't triathlon. So what we did is we just made our own triathlon. So it's literally swim in a pool, the little ones. Some of them even swim with their parents, but it's one length of the 25-meter pool. Then they jump on their bikes, ride around, and then do a run. So that's kind of how it started. And then only this year did we really start with, I don't want to call it coaching. It's more like exposure to the world of a little bit of, it's so cute seeing them in a dam swimming, like playing on their bike and run. So it's just the exposure to multi-sport more than I believe you shouldn't really focus on one sport up until you're about 15 years of age. So it's more just fun and exposure and just enjoying it.
And the nice thing is families can do it together. So moms and dads who are serious triathletes, the kiddies can get into it as well. So that's incredible.
Yeah, so for example, this afternoon we've got a swim in a dam, and the kiddies are with, we've got coaches for them, and they're on the one side close to shore in the dam, and the parents, they swim with the triathletes, and it's all, so it's a really nice community. That to me is what it's all about. It's longevity. It's not just about, for me, sport must be a lifestyle. So, and I really like promoting active and healthy lifestyles for the whole family.
I love that. Let's go back to when you were living in Australia. You went through a number of injuries, and we were following your journey here in South Africa. And I remember how heartbroken I was when we saw the headlines that you were injured and you were out of certain events. And that was a really low part in your life. How did you manage to get over that from a mental and a physical perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think I did talk to someone else earlier this week about the same thing. I think, like I said, I've always been sporty at school. I had provincial colors in 9 different sports, so I always loved it. And I think that's really what kept me going. Is till this day, I absolutely love sport. So there was a lot of disappointment. I mean, I missed out on Olympic teams. I missed, I had hip surgery. I had glandular fever a few times. I remember at the Rio Olympic test event, I got back. I was so sick, and I didn't know what was going on. And it's a very specific test, obviously, for glandular fever. And I had that, I think, 3 or 4 times. So I mean, I think it's just finding ways to enjoy what you do, and just picking yourself back up. I mean, life is full of disappointments, but it definitely, like, it makes you stronger. It makes you appreciate, it makes you more resilient. There's a lot of lessons, but for me personally, I've never really, even when I was racing professionally, I studied, and then I started working. So I never kind of only did triathlon. I always had something else, and I'm quite balanced. So I believe it's important to spend time with friends and family. So I just think I maintained the love. I never got to a point where it was too much that I completely wanted to stop, which is really sad because a lot of professional athletes do that.
I find with a lot of the professional athletes, the sport becomes a job and it just becomes a slog that they don't enjoy it anymore. And you mentioned you had the balance of enjoying it and still studying. So you had 2 things going for you, a professional triathlete and you were getting your law degree at the same time. What advice do you have for upcoming athletes who are thinking of being a professional triathlete?
Well, I think, like, as there's more and more research, and obviously things change, but I know the sports psychologist that I worked with at Sports Science in Cape Town, Clinton Galwiger, at the time I was seeing him, they actually just like like I said, the new research showed that even the cricket players and the rugby players and the soccer players, they were actually starting to encourage the guys, especially the young guys, to do something on the side as well. Because I think that pressure that you apply to, put on yourself if you're only doing sport, it's just whether some people can deal with it, but a lot of people really can't. So they find then their whole identity is in, sport. So having something on the side, whether it's studying or following a passion or a little bit of business or whatever it might be, is great. So for young athletes, obviously I can only speak for my sport, swimming, cycling, running, triathlon. Firstly, for young athletes, don't specialize too early and don't do too much too soon, because triathlon is an endurance sport. I mean, Ironman even later on, but my Olympic distance triathlon, girls peak between 26 even up until 32, and guys also 28, 30. So there's a lot of time, so you don't want to burn out too soon. So for the youngsters, I would say just focus on maintaining your speed, because obviously as you get older you get slower. So just focus on speed, but don't always do more, and enjoy it. Make it part of your lifestyle, but not your whole life. Make sure you've got time for. It's fantastic being focused and being dedicated and disciplined, but I really believe in staying in the sport for a long time. So making time for your friends, your families, things like that.
That is so vital and such great advice for people who are starting out, who are not fast and not super fit, but they want to get into a triathlon lifestyle. They're hitting 40 and they're a bit nervous. Is there room and is there space for someone who is not your youngster, who is not going to be an elite athlete? Where do you start?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when I started STS, I never thought I would work with so many of those people. And I actually so enjoy that crowd because it's so rewarding. It's so incredibly rewarding what you can achieve if you put your mind to it. So, our minds are just absolutely amazing. And some of the most inspiring stories. I mean, I work with Olympic athletes, with world champs, but really some of my most inspiring athletes are, moms who have just dedicated the last 10 or 15 years to their kids, or people who've never done any sport before and they just make a decision. And that commitment, I mean, what you can achieve if you put your mind to it is absolutely amazing. So yeah, definitely, I would recommend, joining a group, a community, having people to keep you a bit of accountable, but also making the process fun. Yeah, and then just some coaching. You don't need the best coach in the world, but someone that you can relate to, and that can keep you motivated and provide guidance. But yeah, absolutely, that is it's to me so amazing to see people who are completely new to the sport and going on to it. So we had a girl at the start of the year. We run a program called Try to Try. It's a beginner program, and basically she joined. She's got 2 kids, also 42 years old, and she's never done sport in her life. I will never forget when she got to running. I said, "Don't worry, guys. We're only going to do a warm up to the place we're going to do the session. It's 1 kilometer." She could not run 1 kilometer. She could only run 400 meters at a stage. Anyway, about 3 months later, 2 months later, she ran her first 5K. 4 months later, she ran 5Ks in under 30 minutes.
Wow.
And now she's a proper triathlete. She's swimming, she's cycling, she's running, just through consistency. So yeah, she's achieved things that she never thought is possible. And there are lots of stories like that. So yeah.
I've always said there should be a show called The Back Runner, because those are the best stories. You always hear the best stories at the back, and people just share their fitness stories. And that's the inspiring stuff we should be hearing about. So I'm so glad you shared that. I want to share something with you. Mira Wilcock just put a message saying, "Vicky changed the way I look at training. She's just the best." And that's the testament to the work that you do. And I just wanted to share that because that's just come through on the messaging. For people who are starting out and who cannot afford a bicycle, who don't know how to swim, what do you say to people like that? A lot of people say triathlon is an elitist sport. You have to be super wealthy. You've got to have the best bike, the best running shoes, and look the part. Yeah,
I must say, I love Stellenbosch. My favorite place in the world, and I've traveled a lot. I've been, blessed to travel all over the world. But that was the one thing, Stellenbosch, through our years, especially triathlon, what is known as a yuppie sport. It is like, what bike do you ride? And I think that was one of my almost like things that made my business successful. Is I said there's a space for everyone. Whether you ride, there's people in our squad who ride top-end bikes that cost 220,000 rand, and there's people who ride mountain bikes at complete entry level. So you definitely don't need all the equipment. In fact, I'll always tell people who are new in the sport, especially youngsters, rather buy a second-hand bike, a cheap bike. Just get started. The bike's not going to win any races for you now at the start, and that I can really testify. My first 3-4 bikes were second-hand, so you don't need fancy things to start off with. If you're part of a community, you can even borrow things just to get started. So yes, absolutely. I mean, it is expensive, but you can also manage it. You can make a list of the real necessities, and the necessities, and gradually, as you find you enjoy the sport, invest in more things. But these days, there's so many great options. You don't need the top of the range wetsuit that costs 16,000 rand. You can buy a wetsuit for 1,500 rand and it'll do the job. So I think it's just, once again, being part of a community and having people that can advise you. But anyone can start. You can borrow a bike. You can, running is nice and cheap. You just need your running shoes. You can even start without a watch. So there's definitely, no excuse.
I love hearing that, because I remember when I started out and I started doing the sums, I needed the wetsuit, I needed the bike. And I had no one at that stage who was really into triathlon from a woman's coaching perspective that could tell me or advise me. So if anyone wants to reach out to you and ask you any questions, I know you're very social on social media. How can people reach you?
Yeah, they're more than welcome to. They can on Instagram, I think it's Vicky Fanimarva, or on they can send me an email to Vicky@triathlonsquad.coza. So we've got a nice team that we can definitely help you guys with out with whatever you need.
And how do you feel comfortable in your skin and the way you move and the way you are? So many people are teased on social media about the way they look, and we get a lot of body shaming, and I get a lot of emails from women saying they've been through that. What advice do you have for them, and how do you look at yourself in the mirror and pick yourself up?
Yeah, sure. It's a topic that I read a lot about or see a lot of. But that I don't, I must say I haven't really been a victim of it, maybe in a different capacity. When I was professional, I weighed about 12, 13 kgs less than now, really skinny, really lean. So now it's a complete, I don't have that. I'm sorry. I don't have that. I don't need to look like that at the moment. And obviously, but for me, it's about, it's not about being the skinniest. It's about, I think I always tell people, I want to lose a bit of weight. It's not for anyone else. It's for myself. So you just want to feel comfortable. And I think that's, the wonderful thing about sport and about training is that you can, you feel so good after your session, So, don't worry. Like just in our sport, we just don't allow this, we've got proper, guys and girls that are not in shape at all, but they're out there and our whole community supports them, and it's like we're proud of them, whether they, doesn't matter what they weigh. So just get out there and do it, and back yourself. I mean, there's no such thing as skinny is prettier than not skinnier. So I think it's just about being comfortable in yourself, and just having your own target.
And how did the last 5 months affect the squad, your training? And we're seeing more and more races being cancelled. We saw the announcement of Ironman this week. We saw the announcement of Wines to Wales, postponed until next year. How's that affected the squad training in terms of the team? Just everyone getting ready and getting ready for race. And is there anything that we can look forward to virtually in terms of the triathlon world?
Yeah, so I must say when lockdown was announced, I had a slight heart attack because our squad in Stellenbosch is very hands-on. So I think Stellenbosch is one of the few towns in the world where it's so accessible to get to a place. It's actually a very small town, so people ride their bikes everywhere or they run everywhere. It's, most people can within 2 or 3 Ks and they're there. So we have big group sessions, like massive group sessions. We've got in summer 4 sessions a day: swim, bike, run, gym. So I did stress a bit, but it was also then exciting for me to then innovate and find new ways. So we at the start of lockdown, I tried to not put pressure on anyone. So we had fun challenges. So still a bit of accountability to get people training every day, but fun. No times, no pressure, just literally more playing with our mind. So just staying active every day, because we all know that if especially athletes, if they're going to sit and they don't do anything, we get depressed. So
yes.
So we had like a little system where people had to log in and track, but no pressure. And then after that, once we were allowed to move a little bit to that 6 to 9 slot, I chose the easiest discipline, running. Everyone's got running shoes. It's the easiest to get to, with pools being closed and not everyone having smart trainers or Zwift. So then we did a choice between a 5 or a 10K run challenge, and that went really well. And so many people ran their PBs, and it was all levels. I mean, our fastest 10K guy ran just over 30 minutes, and the slowest was 1 hour 24. So variety, and it was a fantastic challenge. And now I think people are firstly appreciate being outside and just the freedom again. And secondly, I think I always say out of crises and things like this always comes opportunity and always comes good. So people what I'm feeling is that people are valuing what's really important more now. So your health, without your health, you don't have anything. So I think maybe people are looking at, what they eat and training and just getting fitter, and it doesn't matter what levels. And then also, just things like family and friends and just relationships. So right now, I mean, yes, there aren't many races, and I'm kind of like, there's a few that told me they're on, but I'm almost like, I've told the squad they can enter, but for me, it's more about now focusing on health and fitness, not overtraining athletes for the risk of getting sick. And just my whole business is built around lifestyle. So just in being part of a community and joining the lifestyle. I think next year there'll be a lot of events. But right now you need to find ways to make it fun for you. And mini targets, we do that. We've got small things, just our own internal events within the obviously guidelines. But finding ways to make training fun and whatever motivates you, whether that's other people, whether it's a coach, whether it's a community, whether it's your own event. So just I think it makes you think why you're doing what you do with sport.
I love the community element, and I know how much triathlon, because it's such an individualized sport and it's not a team sport, the community and your tribe plays such an important part in just getting you through your training day and getting you through your goal for the week. Absolutely. No, at squad, I always joke with them because firstly, during lockdown, I didn't realize how almost like dependent emotionally I am on them. I said, oh my God, I miss you guys so much. Like, it's crazy. Like, I miss the randomest people that actually, it kind of irritate me at training. I was like, I miss you now. And then when we got back, it was like ridiculous. I had to have a chat to them last week because I said, everyone it's actually the training almost comes secondary because people just want people. They just want to chat with like-minded people. They just want that realness, that connection. So at our warm-ups, it's like you close your ears because it's so much talking. Like no one can. And that to me is what it's all about. That's just being part of something real and supporting each other. Lockdown and COVID isn't an easy time for a lot of people. I think more so than we realize. People really take shots. Everyone doesn't always show it, but it's so important to have people that can check on you or people that will be there for you. That to me, my goal for especially the hard lockdown was to make sure my tribe gets out of it mentally. Okay, so a lot of positivity, a lot of support. And that's so important. I've got a question coming through from Elton Davids in Cape Town. How do you manage to train for 3 disciplines? Now, Elton runs an incredible, I don't know if you know his organization, it's called All My Sport, SA. And he's also a cycling coach. And while I wait for Vicky to reconnect, I'll just explain to everyone. Okay. Elton also has one of the most amazing running and training masks for safety. I actually reviewed it on a podcast. And Elton's question is, how do you manage to train for 3 disciplines? Just in case Vicky missed that question. And I was just explaining to everyone while Vicky popped out and back in. Elton sells a mask that raises funds for local sporting goods in local communities. And it's one of the most highly rated running and training masks that I've seen in terms of people reviewing it on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Anyway, his question's on screen. How do you manage to train for all 3 disciplines? Yeah, so that's a question we get a lot because immediately it's like that typical why do you only want to do 3 sports when you can do 1 sport when you can do 3? So people automatically think triathlon, okay, this means I need to do whatever I was doing in running, in swimming and cycling. But not at all. So what's good is that the sports really complement each other, especially the swimming. The swimming really helps your running and your cycling. So it is definitely a time management thing, but you won't be able to say you're coming from a running background. You will need to cut down your running a little bit to make space for the cycling and the swimming. But you definitely don't need to do as many. So we do, it really, so say my beginners, they will literally start off with 2 runs a week, 1 swim, 2 cycles, the one being super easy. It's like, that's it. So, and that's already a lot for them. And then your more serious athletes, obviously the pros train 3 times a day most days. But for me, where I'm at now, I train mornings and evenings, and just a nice balance. I always tell people the most important thing is finding like a rhythm between, because it doesn't help you've got a pro or you think you must do these
amount of sessions, a certain amount, and it doesn't fit in with your lifestyle. So it's going to depend how hard you work. Do you have kids? Do you have, whatever, family, what do you call it, commitment. So it depends on what your lifestyle, how much you travel, what. So, so it's definitely not a matter of timing everything by 3.
And that's a question that I get asked all the time. So thank you so much, Alton, for that. What I'll do is I'll also post Alton's details of the running and face masks that they are selling, because it's just incredible. A lot of triathletes also raving about that. How are you keeping a social distance when it comes to training? Are the squads a bit smaller, or are you just spreading out the time training squads?
Yeah, so what we do is we divide the group. Obviously, in the pools, there's very strict regulations. Recently, we now allowed 4 people per lane, so that's at least better than it was. But yeah, look, the cycling's relatively easy, and then we just split into smaller groups, and just I had like a document printed that one of the doctors gave us, just with like all the warning signs and what, just like quite strict, like no hugging, no high-fiving, no sharing of water bottles, etc., etc. So so we just do what we can. Ultimately, we from our side, we make it clear that if you've got any symptoms and things, don't come to training. If you're invulnerable or feeling, so we don't put any pressure on our athletes to come to training. It's completely their choice, but also their responsibility to towards the others.
I love hearing about that, and I love hearing that you're saying that the athletes have to take responsibility themselves. So often, and especially when it comes close to big events, I'm seeing triathletes in the spinning class. They're sick, nose running. This was before COVID, and they're trying to make sure that they stick to that training schedule before the big day. And I always say you do more damage to yourself if you're training when you're sick. And then I'm not a trainer, so I need your opinion on that.
Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Yeah, yes, no, absolutely. So I think I'm not sure if you can hear me, Liezel. So so no, definitely. One of my absolute key principles is that your health. You can only improve if you're healthy and if you're injury free. So if that isn't there, you've got nothing else. So that's really where it all starts. You must first be healthy and then stay injury free. Otherwise, there's no way you can improve. So whenever in doubt, I mean, I've been to big events, and I've also have friends who were literally, I mean, we're talking Olympic Games, world champs, had to withdraw because of sickness. And it's hard to see, it's super hard decisions, but it's the rest of your life, and you can really damage yourself. So in the bigger scheme of things, I'm quite, like, I'll easily send I send athletes home all the time if they're feeling queasy or just, not well. So it's not worth taking the risk. Rather stay, it's just, there's no way. If you're coughing next to me, I'll be like, go see. Don't want to see you.
I love that because so many coaches put so much pressure onto athletes to make, and I'm not talking elites, I'm talking about everyday athletes like myself, to get and stick to your training schedule. So I'm so glad you're understanding and you actually send athletes home and get them to rest.
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, well, one of the other things in my business that we believe in is, I don't believe just training for one event and then doing that event and then like kind of, okay, off you go. It's a lifestyle thing. It's a year round. Obviously, there'll be times where you train harder. Obviously, there'll be times where you take a break after a big race or whatever it might be. But so what that, in other words, then allows you is that there's no exact program that you can follow that's going to get you. It's impossible because we're too complicated. There's too many factors involved. So, it's going to depend on so many things. So one of the other key principles is listening to your own body. You're the only person in your body. So if you are feeling tired or your heart rate's high, or you're very stressed at work, or you didn't sleep well, whatever it might be, like, it's only you that's in your body. So then in situations like that, it's much better to take a day off. You're not going to lose anything. In fact, you're going to gain, because if you keep training and you're slightly sick or not, you're actually just breaking down. You're not building up at all. So it's much better to just take off and And that's where you need to trust your coach or your program and yourself. Like there's a fine line between being lazy and knowing your body. But yeah.
We've got one final question before we go. Let me just see. Here it is. Elton again saying, just explain what is a brick session, just for those who don't know what that is.
Yeah, sure. I must actually go read why it's called a brick session. I've done it since I was this big, but I must actually.
We'll find out.
But yeah, Elton, so a brick session typically is a bike run. So you bike and then you put down your bike in a safe place or let someone look after it for you in South Africa, and then you go run. So yeah, we like to incorporate it as we get closer to race day to simulate that feeling, because all triathletes will know, especially if you're new to the sport, getting out of the water, the dam or the sea, and getting onto your bike, that's you're going from being horizontally to more upright. So that's an adaptation, and obviously using your arms, your legs, and then again from your bike, which lots of times is an aero forward position, to upright in the run, and using different muscles for the run compared to the bike. So we just like to incorporate that closer to race day so people can just get used to that weird feeling. So it can be long, but preferably I like just keeping those sessions nice and short. Say, for example, either we'll do it on a Sunday, we've finished our long ride and quickly 10-minute run off the bike, or short things like call it an 8-minute bike and a 2K run, or 8-minute bike, a 2K run, so like that. So just to get used to it.
I know Elton knows exactly what that is, but I know that a lot of people didn't know the answer, because Elton is actually an Ironman and a great athlete as well. So it's great having him watch us and ask those questions. Vicky, we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate the advice that you shared with us today. And what we've done is, at the beginning of the chat, for those of you who tuned in a little too late, what Vicky did is she has shared details of an athlete that everyone should keep an eye out for, Georgie Grobler. We actually found her Instagram details. I've posted it here. So if anyone wants to give her a follow, here it is. Take a look. Vicky, thank you so much for your time. If anyone wants to reach you, what's your email address again and website?
It's Vicky, VICKY, at triathlonsquad.coza, or the website is Stellenbosch Triathlon Squad.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to hearing more about the squad and hearing the stories of the back runners. Please feel free to share it with us at any time.
I will do. Thank you so much, Liezel. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Vicky. So Vicky Fanimarva, one of South Africa's most versatile multi-sport athletes, joining me on my virtual couch today for Fitness Friday, answering your fitness-related questions. If you're not watching this live and you have a question for Vicky, I will post her contact details down below in case you missed it or you didn't have a chance to go and grab a pen. And you can post any of your triathlon or running, cycling, or swimming-related questions to her, and she and the team will be happy to answer that. So this is Fitness Friday Live. It happens every Friday at noon, South African time, SAST. And I ask you every week to suggest who I should interview the following week. So if you've got a guest idea or a guest suggestion of someone in the community doing great work, uplifting in the fitness and sporting field, and you feel they make for a great guest on Fitness Friday Live, please feel free to post the comment section down below who the guest should be, or email me creative@thegiraffebrand.com. Thank you so much for joining me on Fitness Friday Live. Be back again next Friday with an incredible athlete who has summited Everest, who has great advice for anyone that's starting out in the fitness world, anyone who wants to follow her journey. You'll have to join me next Friday at noon to find out who our guest is. But you can take a guess, someone who's climbed Everest, someone who has climbed a number of mountain peaks, and someone who's really inspiring and made big news headlines last year. So that'll be our guest next Fitness Friday Live. Have yourself a fabulous weekend. Remember to have fun with your fitness and don't put too much pressure on yourself. Find a tribe that enjoys working out with you and find a sport that you love. I'll chat to you again next Friday. Cheers.